I couldn't hear her, can you believe that? So good evening everybody, and it's my pleasure tonight to talk to you about man's most important organ, the penis. And you'll learn if there's any truth in those adverts, can you really make it bigger? And towards the end, I'll tell you something really useful you can do with a morning erection. Man's most important organ. I don't know if you're convinced about that. There's probably some of you in the audience are there thinking it's nonsense. Clearly the heart is more important than the penis. But you're wrong. We've evolved over millions of years for one purpose only, to reproduce, i.e. to have sex. And the only way you can have procreative sex, if you're a male, is to have a penis. You need a penis. So the penis is more important than the heart. The heart's obviously got its uses, but its most important function is to be able to pump blood at high enough pressure that you can get an erection. And of course the worst thing that can happen to a man is if you can't get an erection. So if you have erectile dysfunction, we call it ED for short, it's really, really damaging to the male psyche. So you need treatment, and of course everyone knows about Viagra. It's a pretty effective treatment. But I want to take you back to the days before Viagra, because then the only treatment available was an injection. And it was an injection into your penis. And believe it or not, the guy who developed this, a psychiatrist, he was giving a talk, and I was at this talk, and he said, he suggested that you make the injection a part of foreplay. Now, I think I speak for all the guys in the audience saying if my wife was walking towards me with a syringe and needle when I'm naked, I'm going to get erectile dysfunction. So this same guy, this same professor, was invited to give the main talk at American Urology Conference and on erectile dysfunction, and this treatment he developed. And so he walked up to the podium on the stage wearing tracksuit trousers and announced to the audience, this is a true story, announced to the audience, I injected myself before I came on, and I've got a biggie. And what he then did was, he actually went down the steps to the front row, dropped his trousers, and walked along to prove it. Which is why you shouldn't be sitting in it. I won't embarrass you, I'll probably embarrass myself. So I like to think that I've made a small contribution to ED research. Well, actually it was a medium-sized contribution. So I had to sit in a chair with a mercury strain gauge strapped around my todger, so that's to measure the size of your erection, a Doppler flow meter stuck on the top to measure penile blood flow, and had to endure watching a porno movie whilst my erection was recorded. And the MRC were paying for this. So it just goes the lengths to which us scientists will go to actually support research. So you're probably thinking, well, this guy, he's just penis obsessed like most males, and he's just made a career out of it. But actually that's not true, because I don't work on the penis all that much. It's just one endpoint that we look at. What the research in my group is interested in is in the origin of male reproductive disorders. So things that are not quite so interesting, like low sperm counts and testis cancer, which is very common in young men. And what our research has done is it's taken us back before birth, because it turns out that that's the critical period for the origin of many male reproductive disorders. So you have to go way, way back. And then that gets you into very interesting territory that some of you may not know about early development. So when we start developing in the womb as a fetus, we're all developing the same way. And the way that cards are set to fall is for us all to become female. That's true. So if nothing else happens, we all turn out as female. To become a male, you've got to modify that setup program. And the way you do it, or the way the fetus does it, if it's a male, is it forms testes, and those testes make the male sex hormone, testosterone. And it's that hormone that actually changes things. And it does it when the fetus is that big, so tiny. It's all over by 3 months of pregnancy. And that is also when the size of your adult reproductive organs is determined. So, those adverts, nay chance. It's all determined back then. And actually, if you think about it, if there's anything that influences the size of your toddler, it's your mum. She's the one who's going to have the biggest influence on you at that age. And, okay, you're now thinking, well, the girls in the audience are now thinking, God, this is a typical male, blaming women for everything, even blaming them for the size of their penis. But, you know, just 3 weeks ago in the scientific journal Nature, there was an article published entitled, How the Chicken Lost Its Penis. So, of the hundreds of species of birds, nearly all of them have no penis. And yet, they copulate like us. So, but they can't have sex the way we do, so they just have to sort of rub their bits together. Which sounds good, but it's not. I don't think it's good. It's not going to catch on with me anyway. And what the article said is the reason why males have lost their penis is because the females have selected over time for a smaller and smaller penis. So when you come down to it, with that example and the one I gave you about pregnancy in humans, women really do have us in their grip, guys. Our most important organ is determined and shaped by the ladies. So, talking of having a grip on things, I promised you something about morning erections. So, what is so interesting about it? Well, it's a free cardiovascular checkup. So if you get morning erections, it means your heart is working well. Not because you're getting the erection, because your heart's pumping blood, because it means that your penile arteries are open, they're not furred up. They're smaller than your coronary arteries in your heart. So when you get to my age, getting morning erections is important because it's saying your coronary arteries are okay. If you're not getting erections, or if you've got erectile dysfunction, then what it could be telling you is, well, your heart's next. You're going to have a heart attack. So, time to see a cardiologist. And on that unlight note, I'll say thank you and good night.